Noel Webb with Expand Music with Noel Webb. It's a beautiful day in Los Angeles. It's a day to celebrate, of course, and I'm interested in music around the world and bringing music from different cultures to the U.S., back to different parts of the world. I'm fascinated with that because I'm interested in soul, meaning the real deep feelings and expressions of different cultures, different musicians, and the high production value that happens in other countries and other cultures that I don't think the U.S., being so egocentric, if I could say so, is aware of. So I want to continue to talk about with everyone here how we can expand. That's the name of the show, of course. Expand music into the different genres and cultures of the world and demographics. So today, it's you couldn't get more exciting. You couldn't get more high powered than the guy I have here today. From the CEO of Ocean Butterflies, the awards that would be difficult to list all of them. Meritorious Award from Compass, Wings of Excellence Award, many ear awards from Best Jingle in China, Best TV Commercial, and many other awards, which I'll tell you about in a second. We have in the studio Billy Koh today. Hi, Billy.
Hi, Noel.
Oh, that sounds good. That's great. We got a nice little recording going here in the studio. It's clean and clear and full and everything. So how are you today? Good?
Yeah, it's good.
Good. So, Billy has produced some of the biggest stars in China, and if you hear some of them, you're going to be fascinated with how well, first of all, the production value, Billy, is fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. People, as I said, I'm going to speak about this, the egocentrism of West and U.S., and not realizing that the production value, first, of people who put things together in the rest of the world is as higher, if not better, and more sophisticated than here. So good stuff.
Thank you.
I heard Second Heaven by J.J. Lin, who Billy is the producer of, and Billy, it's very special, man. That's a ways back, but that was great. It was 2003, you won the China National Music Award there for that. And maybe you can comment on this thought.
Oh, actually, yeah. Maybe to begin with, let's track a little backwards.
Yes.
Actually, I was born in Singapore. Mm-hmm. At that time, Ocean Butterflies was founded in 1986. And during that time, I was a member of a boy band, actually. That's where I started off.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Yeah,
so,
and then I became a producer and songwriter. And J.J. Lin was actually one of my hit record singer. He was discovered first in 1998. We had actually a talent search at the time in Singapore, mm-hmm. and he was discovered, and he was groomed for like almost 3 to 4 years before he released his first album in 2003. And his biggest hit, River South, was actually produced in 2004, was released in 2004, and it became a super big hit in China. It's like almost everyone in China today, between the age of 20 to 40, knows this song.
See, just knowing that and telling everybody around the world who listens to the show, it surprises people to know how expansive and popular people are in other countries with some great music. We don't even know about it. Nobody knows J.J. Lin here, do they? Do people in the U.S. know him?
Maybe some American nation, I think.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that struck me immediately when I listened, Billy, to Second Heaven was this is going to be hard to articulate, but there's a folk, meaning the central soul of a culture, and I think that's missing from some of the more popular music in the U.S. And I'm not going to name names, but that when you come from an area, let's say you're from the South, let's say you're from Ireland, and I need to hear, as I just said earlier to you before we started this interview, what you have to say to people. And when people sing from other cultures, you can definitely hear that because it's not from the U.S. And from J.J. Lin, I'm hearing that. I'm hearing, there's a there's that there, and it's just great.
Yeah, but I think today in the modern day, like because people get access to different culture, so sometimes the culture into kind of influence. They influence each other. So even this song that we're going to hear later, you can hear that there's a little of some Western elements that mix with the East.
Man, I am Billy. I'm a big fan of this guy. I mean, I've been listening to his stuff.
Thank you.
I wish I could understand the words, because that would just put it right there for me.
Yeah. What is the thing that you like most in this song?
Well, first of all, he's not afraid of, well, you as the producer, he is not afraid of breaks, so that you've got different moods and feelings coming and going. Mm-hmm. There's a fusion of a solid band behind him, but he's singing as though he's singing so tenderly sometimes.
Yep.
And that's the way, I guess, you're fanatic about microphones. That might have been part of the situation, been able to mix them properly, but he's not afraid to get tender. That's part of what I like, Billy, is when people are not afraid as artists, because art is, as you know, has always been about commerce. But the other mediums, oil paintings and sculpture, that's what they always talk about. So why not in music? Just to step out of the inside of the box and give us something that's people are bored. People are bored, man. So I need to hear something.
Yeah, I think it's always interesting, like to collaborate different energy together. That's what I've been doing for the last couple of years.
Well, because you're going back and forth, I think you have homes in different parts of the world, so you're familiar with them all. And I'm hearing the flute from an Eastern flute, so there's different sensibilities, in this music. That's great. It's just wonderful to get outside there like that. It's great.
Yeah.
So you've got a number of other artists that you're working with. Before we move on with that, in terms of breaks in applying some of this music or maybe some of your other music to films or TV in China or Singapore, that's an issue for editors, is that they like breaks to leave and come in and out of music that's given to them. So is any of this music applied to TV or films that happen in China?
Yeah. Some of my songs was placed in TV shows or even TV commercials. I think the interesting part of Asian music is I think a lot of Americans doesn't really travel far enough to Asian, and a lot of time they get this Asian perspectives by movies, like Hollywood movies. So sometimes when we see Asian, we always see the movies like Chinatown, but actually Asian is not like that anymore.
So when you say Asian, there's Singapore, there's China. Asia is, of course, a huge word.
Yes, and actually, because Asian, I think, has many various different culture, like the Chinese, the Japanese, the Korean, the Philippines. They are all different. So that makes Asian culture very enriching and very a lot of variations.
Yeah, I know. That's why you're here, Billy, because you've got a lot to offer.
Yeah, but even that, the first time I started to work in Los Angeles is way back in 1996. That's where I did my first mixing here. In the last 30 years, I also see that there's a lot of change in Los Angeles area, especially Southern California. I think Los Angeles in some way has becoming more and more international.
Yes, it has, of course. And you're absolutely correct about the sense that people in the U.S. have of Asians is these movies, and that's the way it is probably with every culture that's it's interpreted here. And the first movies I'm thinking about are always Asian movies fighting. They know how to fight so well, and that's
Bruce Lee.
I mean, that's what happens. So every part of the world has families that have the same needs and desires and wishes for their children, and also aspirations, as we're just talking about in art. So I can hear the influences, the Western influences on JJ and your other music, probably even some influences from Africa, from who wouldn't have influences from Africa? There's so much there to use from. So Well, great. And so can you tell us anything about the films or television or commercials and applications in China, the way it works?
Oh, that's interesting. You see, in China, everybody sees China as the biggest market in Asia. But the biggest issue right now is China doesn't pay copyrights. Or rather, let's put it this way, they do try to pay copyrights, but a lot of time along the way, the fees that's collected is always very little as compared to the huge market there. But things are getting better and better each day, little by little. I think a lot of time, the biggest issue is, I think when the economy of a country has not reached certain stage, they will not have the sense or the need to protect copyright, because if they protect copyrights, they will end up paying a lot of money to foreigners. But again, looking at the history, even way back in like 200 years or 300 years before, when Europe countries developed, and when they come to America, so there will be a time where a country like live with doing a lot of manufacturing with low labor costs. That's what the situation now in China for the last 20 years. But things are changing, because I think the wages, the minimum wages in China is increasing. At the same time, they can't be doing all the piracy products forever. So bit by bit, day by day, little by little, I think China economy has also changed. They start to have a lot of intellectual properties that they need to export. So this is why the time has come that China government has begun to moving towards the emphasis of copyrights and patents.
Wow. Well, if there's anything I've learned from Asians as a general sense, is that things do take time.
Yes,
that
things
you need
do
to
take time.
Slow and have patience.
Yes,
with
that's right. And I think in the long run, because a lot of time like TV musics, they still pay licensee. They pay a one-off fee to be used the music included in the movies and TV shows. But when they broadcast on TV stations or even like cinema, the performing rights royalties that collected is really, really very little. But I think day by day, they will change the law, and then we can foresee that there will be a huge income in the near future.
Yeah, I think you're right about that, if we're patient. And of course, as people know, there's performance rights organizations, which you just referred to, and that's back-end copyright payment, and then there's upfront licensing money.
Yep.
And that's always available, am I right about that, upfront licensing money?
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
Yes, upfront licensing.
Yeah. And whatever fee that is, I don't know, but those are two different forms to be paying.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess, is this a crazy question to ask you? Would you ever be asked to sit in a panel to talk to the government about this, or is that your position, or how would you sit with that, or what would happen? Right
now, we actually have a committee between the music industry that's talking to the China government. I'm on the board.
And so that is the Compass, Composers and Authors
Society? No, that is for Singapore, but even I just joined on the board of the China Music Industries Committee.
Wow, man, what an honor to have you here, Billy. So Billy Koh, by the way, is spelled Billy as Billy, and Koh is the last name. Ocean Butterflies, that's who we're in the studio here with the CEO of Ocean Butterflies, and who runs Touch Music Publishing as well, and has lots of artists that he has produced, and he's so involved with the music in Singapore and China. It's an honor to have you here. Let's move on to another piece. Jiang Wang, is that a proper pronunciation?
Sorry?
Jianwen. Jianwen, a piece that was sent to me to play. Well, there's also Dawn, Don't Be Afraid.
Yeah, Dawn, yes, that's right.
Like
that's
that.
right. That's Dawn.
Can you tell us about Dawn? That's a nickname, or what's Dawn?
Yeah,
mean?
This is an interesting song that we're going to play. Actually, this is a duet between a Chinese rapper and an American singer from Oklahoma.
So the name of the band is Dawn?
Yes.
Okay, and this is,
let's.
Oh, I'm sorry. let's start it again. Go ahead.
Okay, so actually, Don is a songwriter-singer from China. Unbelievably, later on when you hear his song is so westernized. He never been to any part of the world outside China. He's only 21 years old. But you see, this in a way reflects what the situation of the modern China teenagers. Because of internet, they get access to a lot of Western music, and you can hear he has a lot of Western influence. But on the other hand, when he first wrote this song, he actually designed for a female singer to sing some of the parts. And I actually picked this singer. Her name is Maggie McClure. Did I pronounce it correct?
Yes, it is. That's good. Yeah. McClure.
McClure. Yeah. Maggie McClure. I met her actually in Los Angeles during one of the song festival. I met her, and then I sort of talked to her, and I think her voice just suited this song, and then we actually recorded this song, her vocals in Los Angeles.
And so she's on this recording.
Yeah, she's actually a indie musician who lives now in Los Angeles. So I got her to collaborate with Dawn. So you can hear in this song is very interesting because part of the song is in English and part of the song is in Chinese.
It's like listening to the music for a film. It's so prolific, Billy, and I'm sure you had a lot to do with this as a producer.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, this song first started off was actually not for an album. It was actually for like a YouTube collaboration. Yeah, so actually there's a lot of different cultural elements incorporated in this song. Like Dawn is from China, and then the other female singer is from America. And then Dawn actually co-wrote this song with Wah. You know Wah?
Yeah.
Wah is a Canadian Asian that works in Singapore now. So the tracks, some of the drum programs are actually done by another guy called Alex Lando. He's from Finland. Yeah. So, and then actually there's a lot of message in this song for those Americans. If you don't understand Chinese, actually you can try to go YouTube. Just hit "Don't Be Afraid" 2012 by Dawn, and then you will see the translation of the rap, which is very meaningful. Actually, the song talks about last year was a year where a lot of people fear about it's the end of the world. At the same time, there's a lot of things going on last year, like Occupy Wall Street. So the song was kind of inspired with that. Like a lot of time, people are fear of a lot of things. They fear of the destroy of disasters of the earth, and then they fear of the injustice and all these things. And a lot of times, it's a fear that is causing the setback and not the real thing. You see what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So this is why the song is trying to tell you that even somebody may say that this is the end of the world, but how are you going to face it? How are you going to face all the injustice? So don't be afraid, because things will. Sometimes if you overcome the fear within your heart, and you will find the solution somehow.
Well, so we can read it on YouTube,
yes.
The words, and that's important to us, because if he sang in English, man, of course I'm just asking too much maybe, but my gosh, listen, Billy, the design of these tunes is quite special. The strings that you've produced have a smooth supporting sound. There's a payoff, 4 or 5 payoffs in the tune. Most tunes have only one payoff that you go back to a hook. A hook is called. And most tunes have an A, B hook, A, C, B hook.
That's right.
And your tunes have 3 or 4 payoffs, particularly since you have some rap, and then you have some sort of classical drama, and then R&B.
Yes, that's right.
Man,
that's right.
I'm not trying to make you feel better than you should. You should be this is really special. So thank you for his music and Don. And by the way, there's one other subject that you could go on a whole show with, which is the value of a producer in monetarily and percentage-wise. The design of music and how it's presented to the consumer is set up with a certain percentage for this and copyright for that in the West. And producers, I can tell Billy this is a Billy Koh production. So
Yeah, but you know what? In Asia, actually, producer is a tough job and it's a dirty job because you don't really get paid so much.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. I know that's exactly what I mean.
Yeah, I think in Asia, artists get paid the most. Second by maybe songwriter, and actually producer get paid the least. A lot of time, producer doesn't enjoy so-called producer's royalties. They don't really get royalties for producer, unless you come up with your own money to invest in a master. Then you become a master owner. Otherwise, a lot of time producer just get paid for one-off.
Yeah. Now, what you're now, of course, alluding to is is what we end up listening to as consumers comes from a format that, in fact, if the producers were paid more money, you seem to be doing such a wonderful job with the design you just said monetarily. Yeah. I don't know, it's not my business, but my gosh.
Yeah, actually, a lot of people doesn't understand what a producer do, because a lot of time when I tell people I'm a record producer, they say, what do you do? Do you write songs? Yeah, producer do write songs, but not all the time. Actually, producer is almost like a film director. So here they have to take care of everything right from the beginning, the selection of songs, the tunes, to fix the words, because sometimes when the songwriters come with the words, it doesn't fit in quite well, so you have to fix it. And then you have to work with the musicians to get the music produced and then recorded. In the old days, usually producer works with an engineer, but in the modern day, when you work in the box with a computer, a lot of time the producer is the engineer, and then later on you got to work with a singer, and a lot of times people kind of took for granted that when some singers sing better than the other, they always think that, oh, this singer is great, but a lot of time it's the producer that makes the singer sounds good.
Yeah, and you mentioned engineer, and that's just even saying it only in a phrase, as you just did, doesn't give it justice. Engineering,
yes,
that's right. Production is my gosh, creatively is as important as anything in the set.
Yeah.
So you, the producer, you in this respect, is also the engineer. Are you also managing some of these guys, because their whole image?
Yes, I do.
Crucial. Oh my gosh.
So, yes, I do. But of course, I don't do it by myself. I have a team.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. So now let's talk a little bit about YouTube. There's a kind of a counterpart in China that's kind of like China's YouTube.
Yes, called Youku.
Youku.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that?
In China, actually, some of the websites are banned. One of them is YouTube and Facebook, and even Google. You can access, but they make such that Google search is very slow in China, so discourage people from using Google. I think that is something really a little setback if you look at it from a internet point of sharing information. But I think at this point of time, there's nothing we can do about it. So one of the reasons I think, besides of a political issue, is also because they try to encourage the local internet developer to develop their own platform.
Right.
So this is why one of the biggest video platform in China is Youku, but they are not the only one. There are some others, new ones coming up, but I think they're still the more established. In Youku, actually the funny thing is that almost, I wouldn't say 100%, maybe 80% of whatever things that you posted on YouTube, as long as they are interesting content, you'll get a pirate's copy on Youku within 24 hours almost.
Can you spell that for us?
It's Youku.
Okay.
Yeah.
So would it really does make sense for a local China itself wanting to develop, have its developers create its own productions of a YouTube there and a record company there, and so they're all within China as well, rather than having the Western community, which historically would just enter a country and sort of run it or bring its own products. It's perfectly understandable that China would want this to happen, and eventually it open up. Is Michael Jackson, as an example, played on your YouTube, or famous people from here played there?
Yeah, definitely. You see, on Youku, the China equivalent of YouTube, they played all the content from China. They have homemade content from China. At the same time, they have almost 80% of the Western content as well. The only thing is, they actually doesn't really link to YouTube, but there will be some consumer who get access to YouTube, maybe from the other part of China, like Hong Kong or Taiwan, that they upload it to Youku so that the China people can have access to the outside world.
So this is the music that you have worked with. Jumping back to that for a minute, Billy, it's called C-pop, and C means
C-pop,
China.
yeah. C stands for China, yeah,
China
or
pop.
Chinese pop.
And I don't think it's quite doing it justice, the music I'm just listening to call it pop. There's pop, definitely pop there. It's fantastic pop, but it's much more than pop. So,
thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you've given me a piece called 101.
Oh yes.
Oh, can you tell us about that?
Oh, this is interesting. This is another song by John. Don is such a talented, I think, songwriter, singer from China, especially from China. Like if you played the song that we heard earlier, "Don't Be Afraid," 2012, you wouldn't believe that it's from a China teenagers who has never been to other part of the world except China. So Don is very talented, and the next song you're going to hear is 101. You can hear that he kind of makes the R&B and the Chinese Eastern element into a song. And the song actually is talks about 101 has a lot of meaning. It can be mean digital. 101 is digital, but it's not 101 freeway though.
Okay.
101 actually has a lot of meaning. It can mean digital. It can mean 101 freeway, but which is not. But there's also a very famous building in Taiwan. It's called 101 because it's 101 levels. It's the tallest building in Taiwan. And then this song is actually about Heartbeat 101. It's a love ballad actually. It's about how he fall in love with a girl, and his heartbeat beats up to 101. That's the song.
Isn't that what it's always about? The girl.
Right. Yeah, about a girl.
This interview with Billy Koh. Billy, you're such a special guy, very creative and interesting, and you're so willing to relay and share information and your great production. So this has been Billy Koh, BILLY KOH from Ocean Butterflies. Wonderful for having you. Thank you very much, Billy, for being here. This has been Expand Music with Noel Webb, and we'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.
Where the next move's gonna be made, so we listen, we watch the news, the tunes, the gaga, the report, the seaport, the speed song, clothes she wears. What clues can we shuffle through to keep from drowning too much, man?
I can tell that you really need to grow, you really need to grow.
I got news. Nothing's gonna be new to you, but sue from behind on the latest lawsuit to cover all bases. Cause the New York Yankees make me, sank me. Coldplay tells me what to do. Now think of it yourself.
You really need to grow.
But if they don't, they won't, they don't, they won't, they can't. You can't see where you're standing in the crowd, but you really can't see where you're walking in the world, baby. Walk, man, walk. See where you run by yourself. mother to shake you, wake you, fake you, till we all hear your quavos finally. finally crashing together like the Liberty Bell, then we know you now have focused strength to pursue motherhood, fatherhood, where stood all people who had huevos, man. They won't, they can't. You can't see where you're standing in the crowd, but you really can't see where you're walking in the world, baby. Walk, man, walk, and see where you run by yourself,